In the early days of the pandemic, I wanted to do something to support my local community, and I was struggling to figure out exactly what that something would look like. I saw online that Seattle was raising a COVID relief fund for their local businesses and nonprofits, and that seemed like exactly the right fit for what I was hoping to accomplish. Southeast Ohio is resilient, but we're also vulnerable, particularly when government budgets get cut at the same time that businesses don't have income. I knew that Rural Action would be the right home for this COVID emergency relief fund for two reasons. The first reason is simply that Rural Action has been a leader in building resilience in Southeast Ohio since 1991. The second reason that I chose to come to Rural Action is because I know Debbie Phillips, who has been a friend and mentor to me. And as executive director, I've seen her look for opportunities to help Rural Action be creative, be flexible, and be impactful. I've been blown away by what Rural Action has done with this idea that just started at my laptop in a panic about what's happening to our country and our planet and our local community, and has been able to turn that through engagement with our many community partners into a full-on resilience fund that is going to support local businesses through this crisis and the next.
The Resilience Fund is a partnership with area philanthropies and other organizations to help businesses keep going during this time. We recognize that our economy is shifting and changing, and we want to help businesses make that shift. Zach approached Rural Action because he recognized very early on in the shutdown that our local businesses were going to struggle. And as a response to that, we worked together to build a Facebook fundraiser. That took off, and other counties came to us to replicate that model. And then we began to ask ourselves, how can we do this regionally? We were able to work with our partners to develop a website within a couple of weeks, create an online portal where applicants could apply, where we could receive donations, and where we could disperse information about the Resilience Fund. We were able to get this information out to the media, and word traveled really fast. Within 4 weeks, we had 150 applicants from all across Ohio, all Appalachian counties and 7 counties in West Virginia.
I've been in business for about 20 years. I started out selling at the farmer's market, and as the business grew, I opened a retail store. Well, the shutdown, for me, actually, the business began to change when the OU students didn't come back after spring break, because their parents are my customers more so than the students themselves. So we really felt that. And then when we were mandated to close our business, then that was even more challenging, adding, to just not doing any business at all. Then weddings began to be canceled, one after the other, after the other, after the other, which is the money that gets us through the summer and into the fall. I first read about the mini grant in a newspaper article, and then came to work the next day and looked it up online. After reading it a couple times, I thought this really does apply to businesses in Athens that need support, and I need support, and I thought I'll just write the grant and see what happens. And then I didn't hear anything for a few days, and I was checking my email every day, just to see if I might have received it. And then finally one day there it was, and I just jumped for joy.
There are so many things that I enjoy about being at Rural Action. It's been one of the most meaningful things I've done in my life. We get to feed people, which is essential, especially during times like the ones we're facing right now. Food is part of your emotional regulation, part of your physical regulation. It's part of your confidence, feeling good about yourself. It's part of all of our lives, and it builds community. Copeland Health is very similar to our Hopewell institutions in Athens. Our partnership with them at this point is providing produce for their pharmacy program. So clients or individuals can come to their healthcare centers, and if they have diabetes or other diseases, they can be treated by a pharmacy prescription, which actually includes fresh local produce. So we are providing produce from the Chester Hill Produce Auction, other local farmers, and delivering it out to both Parkersburg and Elizabeth, West Virginia, once a week. The conversations they have with those patients after they receive the produce are amazing, and they say they're so excited and are feeling better and feel, proud. Food cultivates a sense of pride in people when they know how to utilize it and make themselves feel good, and that's why this program is so important.
Copeland Health Systems is a federally qualified healthcare center. It's an organization that provides healthcare services for any individual, regardless of whether they have insurance or not. The pharmacy is actually a partnership between Copeland Health Systems and WVU Extension Service. And this year we wanted to expand that program to Wirt County and Jackson County. And so we needed a supplier of vegetables who would be able to meet the capacity that we have, which we are currently serving 240 patients in Wood and Wirt County, and then we're going to be serving another 100 patients in Jackson County. What we found is that no single farmer in the area can provide the capacity or the variety that we need, and the work with Rural Action allows us to not only tap into local resources, but get that variety. The first time that our bags were delivered, we were thrilled to see the amount of food that is going to be able to be given to the patients.
My name's Jennifer, and I've been participating for the last 2 years. I learned about the program through my provider, Sherry Cowan, who was here last year. I have diabetes, so she thought that this would be a good program for me. I've been enjoying having fresh local produce. Actually, at home, it's a surprise every week what we get in the bag. The kids don't know, so they are using it as their personal chopped episode on TV. We've done now eggplant parmesan, we've done stuffed peppers. We've done quite a few things, and they've all been delicious. I just think that it's a really great program for our community. It's really hard for parents who are struggling, for elderly who can't afford to get produce every week in their budget. And it also helps, the patients here get healthier and take care of themselves.
Rural Action's environmental education program connects children and really people of all ages to nature to really understand the place where we live. When all of the schools shut down, camps closed down, all of our programs were suddenly canceled for the year, we had to stop and think about how we could still help people connect to the outside. It seemed like it was almost more important than ever to help children go outside and connect to nature and counter some of that stuck inside, can't go anywhere feeling. The first two things we started doing were the Young Naturalists Club blog that people could do at their own pace, and to do virtual field trips on Friday afternoons. It's not just pre-recorded material, but we'll do live calls where we really are discovering things with them, and that keeps some of that back and forth and communication and cuts through some of the isolation. So normally if we were doing, say, a field trip to teach about a creek, we might have to decide, are we going to do this field trip at a really healthy creek to show the kids what a beautiful ecosystem looks like? Or are we going to do it at an acid mine drainage impacted creek to teach the kids what an unhealthy creek is? But on a virtual field trip, we can have educators with cameras at both locations, and there's some great educational value in that.
Rural Action's field trips were a lot different than what we experienced in the school, because I felt like Rural Action actually did more hands-on with the kids. Like, even, you know, if they found the salamander in the river bend, they would pick it up, put it to the camera, and show us the different parts of the salamander. Instead, when we were doing our virtual stuff with school, they would just show a picture. They wouldn't go into great detail like they did. And they made you actually feel like you were there instead of being 97 miles away in Columbus. So everything that we've learned on the field trips, we've been able to use in real life. Like, for example, to be able to go to our local wetland area at our metro park around here, we've been able to explore and say, hey, Joe talked about this salamander. This is what it looks like, Mom, as she picks it up out of the water and says, this is cool. I would love to come to an event when the time is right, because I love southeastern Ohio and I'd like to actually be part of it live.
My name's Erin, I'm 10 years old. I'm going into 5th grade this year. My favorite thing is the virtual camp. We did like a lot of things, like we went to the creek and had like a lot of adventures outside. We learned about wetlands and learning about different types of trees. The virtual field trips kept me learning. Even in this home order, I still learn things, versus at school, I would just be reviewing what I have learned from the year. When I grow up, I may want to be a veterinarian or be a scientist to discover things like about nature maybe. Keep the good work, Real Action, you're doing epic.